The California afternoon sunlight sparkled as it reflected off the chandeliers in the Grand Pacific Hotel, and as I stood in front of the dressing room mirror, applying my lipstick one final time, a flutter of excitement warmed my heart. Today was my sister Jessica's wedding day, the day she would finally marry her soulmate. And I was filled with pure joy, wanting to celebrate her from the bottom of my heart. "Maggie, are you ready?" My husband Robert called out as he knocked gently on the door, his voice carrying its usual calm warmth, mixed with the nervous tension that special occasions often bring. "Just 2 more minutes," I replied while giving myself a last check in the mirror. The navy blue dress Jessica had chosen for me, telling me, "This color suits you best," was simple yet elegant. When Robert entered, his physique, honed from years as a firefighter, looked even more striking in his tailored suit. And though we had been married 12 years, my heart still skipped every time I saw him. "You look absolutely beautiful," he murmured, setting his hands on my shoulders. "Jessica must look stunning today, too." I nodded, recalling the breathtaking glimpse I caught of her wedding dress at yesterday's rehearsal. Robert's gentle brown eyes held that familiar, unwavering love. "We didn't have children, but our days together were content and fulfilling. Do you think David is a good man?" I asked, feeling a flicker of concern. "Yes," he said confidently. "I talked with him last night at dinner. He's honest, intelligent, and passionate about running his restaurant. And most importantly, he looks at Jessica with gentleness." His words reassured me deeply. Jessica had struggled through relationships in her younger years, and I had always worried about her. But this time she seemed more grounded than ever. "When you're ready, could you head to the chapel first?" I said. "I want to check on Jessica one more time." Robert chuckled lightly. "Sure, just don't cry too much. You'll ruin your makeup." It was true. I was the type to cry at movies, books, anything even remotely touching. I was certain the wedding vows would turn me into a mess. As I walked down the hallway toward the bridal suite, memories of childhood drifted through my mind. I had been that introverted child who loved reading, while Jessica was lively and social, always surrounded by friends and attention. Dad often praised her charm, saying, "Jess has a special glow that draws people in." Meanwhile, I was the serious and hardworking daughter who apparently needed more initiative. But after Dad passed away 5 years ago, Jessica and I grew closer than we had ever been, and the competitiveness of childhood faded as we faced adulthood separately. We had spent Dad's final days together, strengthening the bond between us. When I knocked on the bridal suite door, Mom's gentle voice called, "Margaret, come in, dear." Inside, the sight of Jessica in her wedding dress stunned me. The classic design of lace accents and silk satin highlighted her natural beauty magnificently. "Jess, you look absolutely gorgeous," I whispered, my voice trembling. Jessica turned, her smile radiant, glowing with the joy of a woman truly in love. "Thank you, Maggie. You look wonderful too," she said. Mom was fussing with the final adjustments on Jessica's gown. "You both look so beautiful," she murmured, her eyes glistening. "Your father must be watching over us from heaven." We held hands, sharing a quiet, emotional moment before heading to the chapel. The Grand Pacific Hotel chapel looked like a breathtaking movie set with white roses and lilies adorning the altar and crystal chandeliers reflecting rainbow colors across the solemn venue. Over 100 guests were seated, waiting for the ceremony to begin. I sat beside Robert, scanning the crowd while holding the program. Relatives from both Dad's and Mom's sides, along with many friends of the bride and groom, had gathered. Mom was seated in the front row, dabbing her eyes, undoubtedly feeling Dad's absence deeply. "Those are Jessica's college friends," Robert whispered, pointing toward a group of beautifully dressed women chatting affectionately. Jessica had always been popular and maintained close friendships even after graduation, something I had always admired. When the organ began to play, silence spread across the chapel. David took his place at the altar beside the minister. He looked nervous yet unmistakably filled with deep love and determination. I could see why Jessica had chosen him. He possessed a quiet charm and the confidence of a successful restaurant owner. The bridesmaids walked down the aisle first, and then Jessica appeared, supported by Mom's arm. A gasp escaped me, although she had looked stunning earlier. The sacred atmosphere made her beauty even more breathtaking. Her dress train flowed elegantly across the floor as her veil fluttered gently with each step. Mom walked with pride and bittersweet emotion as she escorted her youngest daughter. Jessica smiled warmly at each guest, and when her eyes met mine, she gave me an especially heartfelt smile that nearly brought me to tears. When she reached David, Mom placed Jessica's hand into his, and the loving gaze they exchanged made the entire venue hold its breath. The minister began the ceremony. Dearly beloved, we are gathered today to celebrate the marriage of David Harrison and Jessica Winston. As the minister's solemn words echoed through the chapel, memories of Jessica's childhood flooded my mind. Her playing dress-up in a toy wedding dress, hosting pretend wedding ceremonies for her dolls, dreaming of a day just like this. And now her long-held dream was finally becoming a reality before my eyes. David Harrison, do you take Jessica Winston to be your wife? To love, honor, comfort, and keep her in sickness and in health, in prosperity and adversity, and forsaking all others. Be faithful to her as long as you both shall live, the minister asked. And David answered, I do. With a strong, unwavering voice, his eyes shimmering with emotion. Then Jessica responded just as clearly when asked the same, her voice ringing beautifully as she declared, I do. Her face glowing with a mixture of deep love and hopeful anticipation for her new life. The ring exchange followed. David placed the ring onto Jessica's finger with trembling hands as he said, Jessica, receive this ring as a sign of my love and commitment and as a symbol that I have chosen you above all others. I will love you until God parts us. Jessica then placed the ring on David's finger, repeating the same vow, her expression filled with tenderness. Sitting beside Robert, I squeezed his hand and he gently squeezed back, clearly moved as well. I felt a surge of nostalgia, remembering our own spring wedding 12 years ago in a small church, equally filled with love and hopeful promises. After the minister finally said, You may kiss the bride, the entire chapel erupted with applause as they kissed for the first time as husband and wife. Tears streamed down my cheeks, but they were tears of joy. Jessica had truly found happiness. As the newlyweds made their exit, guests stood to applaud them. When Jessica passed by, she gave me a special wave, her smile radiant with bliss. After the ceremony, guests moved to the hotel lobby for cocktail hour where the setting was decorated with elegant flower arrangements, champagne, and hors d'oeuvres. It really was a beautiful ceremony. Robert said, holding his champagne. Yes, perfect, I replied, watching the newlyweds pose for photos in the sunset-lit garden. Jessica looked angelic, her dress glowing in the warm light. Did you speak with David's mother? I asked. Yes, Robert replied. She's very refined, and she said she already thinks of Jessica as a daughter. That brought me comfort. Marriage was not just the union of two people, but also of two families. And when families accepted each other with love, the couple's life became richer. Mom soon joined us, her eyes still moist. Margaret, Robert, thank you for today. Your father must be pleased too, she whispered. It really was beautiful, I said, taking her hand. Jess looked so happy. That's what matters most, Robert added kindly. David is a wonderful man. They'll build a good home together. As cocktail hour ended, guests were directed into the grand ballroom, decorated even more lavishly than the chapel, with round tables adorned with roses and soft candlelight. Mom, Robert, and I sat with David's family at the same table. Excitement buzzed in the room as elegant music played, and the newlyweds entered to a standing ovation. Jessica had changed into her reception dress, still elegant but easier to move in, and David beamed as he held her hand. David began his speech sincerely.